Should I still tell the story?
Or should we be talking about Blades?
just finished with the story. I was going to talk about Blades a little bit. So we open on the docks. Now, you would imagine a bright sunny day, but in Dustfall, there's no such thing. The sun has long since burnt down to the smallest little ember that barely comes up in the sky and pitifully sinks back down under the void sea shortly after. But nevertheless, with all of the electroplasmic lighting up, we see your character standing in front of the docks as day laborers all line up to be sort of selected to work on this day's shift. And there's boats in the harbor, and there's people who are already starting to do their work. And up in like up in a watch, not a watchtower, but like a warehouse that has a view over. You can barely make out Chief Helker like looking down on the day as he sort of spots all of the various goings on, and street urchins run around, and it's another day on the docks of activity. And on that note, hi all.
Hello.
Hello.
And welcome everybody. We are playing our second game on actual play. Tonight we're going to play Blades in the Dark, and we're going to follow up on the dialect game that we played. Was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
We made ourselves a really cool language. Connor, Kate, do you want to talk about a little bit about dialect and a little about the cool language that we made?
Sure. Yeah. So dialect is a world building game where you end up telling the story about an isolated community. And while you tell their story, you also build the language that defines them. And so dialect is a standalone game, but we decided to do something a bit radical last time, which is to smash two good things together and see what comes out. So we played dialect in the Blades world.
You got your blades in my dialect.
Exactly.
You got my dialect in your blades.
And the fruits of that smashing was a cant, a Thieves cant, which we are happy to use today in our game of Blades. So that is like a secret language that we've built up based on the story of a group of bluecoats that helped to create the gray cloaks.
Helped to create is a generous phrase.
Spurn the creation of.
Yes.
And so this way, playing dialect with another campaign is kind of an officially sanctioned way of playing it. And Keith Stetson is writing like a chapter for the book on how to do it.
Yeah. So now that we've made this Thieves Cant, which we'll be introducing through play, we're going to play the Grey Cloaks, the beginnings of the Grey Cloaks, not the Grey Cloaks that you know in the book that are tier 2 and have gambling dens and fighting pits and cigar shops. No, these are the young, scrappy Grey Cloaks that have just been recently framed and are now just hunkering down in the burnt out basement of the old watchtower that's leaking and has rats and beams are collapsing, and it's not a pleasant place. So we're gonna cut back up on a big crate, maybe 4 foot tall, sort of wooden crate. There's a woman, and everybody knows her. You all know her. Her name's Diamond. She's one of these dockers who's been like doing this forever. She has like grandsons that are doing this, but she doesn't look like she would have grandsons. Like, she's tough and gnarly, and she has been on the docks just forever. And all of the union dockers, like all the people that are like in with the dockers, they all just kind of they walk past her, and she has her guy like hand them a little chit, and they just get to go to work, and they don't have to like wait. They just like go to work, and they get all the coolest, they get all like the cushiest jobs. They get like the best sort of opportunities out there. And then it comes time for the day laborers, and that's where we see you three and sort of a throng of other would-be stevedores and longshoremen and sailors whatnot, and maybe give me a little description of each of your characters as you stand there seeing whether or not you're going to get work for the day.
Yeah, so Aiz is from Eruvia and was a noble back from where he came. And so some of that is still kind of noticeable in how he's kept, I think. Like his mustache is still groomed. Some bits of finery are poking out still, exactly like very pointy, right?
Nice. Cut a man with that mustache.
Exactly. Well, he'll cut a man in many ways. The mustache is only one of his tools. But yeah, and after being kind of cast out from his home country, coming to Duskfall and joining the Bluecoats was one of the only things that made sense. He had a bit of a rash temper and could do things by force when needed. And so you can still see like many scars, I think, down his neck as he's standing there with his impatiently waiting for this degrading, humiliating experience of being a Bluecoat was bad. This is fucking horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. The people around you are various sorts of shady characters, kvetching amongst themselves and to you, if you'll listen, about the woes of the world and like thinking themselves your equal. And one old
I will not listen.
Yes,
That's
like
certain.
one hungover guy is like, did I tell you about the time? And you have no time for that business.
Yeah.
And as we like pan over, we pan past Aiz, we look like just behind him, and we see a merchant who's like totally like at his wit's end. He's like, I already paid those fees and those fees and the other fees. And this woman is she's also a Ruvian. She has like a nice outfit. She looks like a little bit like she's an official, but a little bit looks like she's could cut a man as well. And she's like, yeah, but you haven't paid my fees. And then we kind of zoom over from her causing some trouble in the vicinity to Usa. What do we see when we find Usa?
So Usa is Separosi. She's kind of petite, but stocky, and she's currently in a very passive aggressive shoving match with the person behind her. It's one of those things where you shuffle forward and someone kind of bumps you, and so you kind of bump them, and then they kind of get into your space and they get back into theirs, and she is like just about ready to like get a knife and put an end to this.
Nice.
She's like just bored. She's been there forever. She's so bored. And this guy just like kind of keeps jostling her. So she's kind of weighing in her mind like, oh, how much trouble would it be if I just knifed him like right now?
Right.
And so she's trying to talk herself out of doing that.
Awesome. And as we see like Usa and this guy like having this match, he's trying to get in front of her and vice versa. A crane kind of like swings overhead with like a giant box of cargo, right? As it swings overhead, the camera follows it, and it follows it out to all these ships on the dock. There's tons of them. Most of them are merchant vessels. Some of them are like fishing ships. Do people fish in the Void Sea?
Yeah.
So a lot of them are like smaller gondolas that like take things from the bigger ships into the city. So there's all these arrays of ships, and then we see like the Death Star looming over everything else. This giant iron steamship, this huge Leviathan hunter, and for all its like mass and the amount that it instills awe and terror on people, it's got this massive rend in the front, like as the metal has been ripped apart, and there's all these people like hanging on lines with like welding torches, like trying to fix this thing. But it's just like larger than life. It's like the skyscraper type this structure, and it's ripped, and it's, you know, the front end of it is ripped apart, and it's obviously come back into port. And we all know that this is the Nightbreaker. This is Lord Strangford's, well, one of Lord Strangford's Leviathan hunters. And
Okay, you have to shake your fist too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And all around it, there's like various blue coats that are wearing their blue coats, and they're doffing their hats to important merchant types, and they're bludgeoning others that would attempt to get too close. And then when we kind of come back around, Diamond has picked a few people. You, not you. Get out of here, ugly owl. And then she like points, and when we follow her finger, we see Vond. What do we see with Vond?
Yeah, I think when the camera pans to Vond, you see someone who definitely looks like they're of the docks. Vond is dirty, but in a very natural way. He is like tall and gaunt, as you'd imagine someone may be, and maybe is a little unsettling given just the heavy lifting that you normally associate with dock work, and just how natural Gaunt feels here. But Gaunt almost feels like a dock rat. Vond feels like a dock rat. Vond grew up as a street urchin, I think, doing stints both in the streets and then at times was taken in by an orphanage. Where Vond still has some amounts of sympathies. I think you can imagine like some symbol of the orphanage, like a coin representing the House of the Weeping Lady, kind of being tucked deep in Vond's coat. Vond takes notice of the Strangford Leviathan ship coming because there's history there. Vond used to make his way on the docks as a street urchin would do, but then eventually became a lackey for Lord Strangford, picking up on odd jobs as they would come up. But it's been a while, and just all of these blue coats around is making Vond a bit nervous.
Yeah, they're certainly here in force. This is definitely their domain.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of them sort of shuffling people around and controlling who can kind of go where, and like some merchants just like cruise on through and nobody gets in their way, and others are just like sort of assaulted. Excuse me. At every level. And everybody gets to watch Sean choke and die on online. There's one which Vaughn would recognize because he's run into trouble with them, and there's a sailor who is not a sailor, I'm sorry, a docker who's like heading up to where the Nightbreaker is, and you see this like big brutish jerk of a fellow that his name is Needle. And you've had history with Needle, and Needle just slaps his truncheon into his hand to get the guy's attention, and off in the distance you can see him like pointing at him. It's like, no, you don't go there, you go there. And it's clear that there's like this weird tension between the dockers and the blue coats, because like, whose base is this? But the docker kind of eventually shrinks, and he goes off to do some other like more menial task than working on the hunter. So
clench.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, everyone I think on seeing that jerk.
Yeah, guys, the guy's the worst. Strange devils.
He spits on the ground.
Bug's coat.
Yeah, he deserves it.
Bug's coat's coming for him.
Can't be soon enough. And if you do hear us using these words like Bug's coat and whatnot, then I will link in chat where we have the language that we made.
Yeah.
Unless Karen, you want to throw it in.
No, you can do it. I don't have chat pulled up.
Okay, 1 second. Let me make sure that this link is in fact all can view. Yep.
Yep.
Um,
And we might, we'll see if we can stick to the definitions that we laid out.
hey,
They might
language
already be shifting around.
language grows and changes. It needs to be
wibbly wobbly,
yeah.
What?
wordy blurdy thing.
So let's see how let's engage the mechanic for the most trivial of things because we can. Let's see how well you collectively do at getting jobs for the day. Normally this is not the kind of thing I'd roll for in Blades, but I want to really show how the level that you're at right now, which is like just squeaking by, looking for that day job. So I'm going to go ahead and have you take some action. You tell me how you want to do it, and you can decide whether or not. Pardon me. I don't know why I'm joking. You can decide. You can decide that you're doing it as a group action, where you'll all sort of roll. Like one of you will lead it, and you'll all do it together. Or you can do it. You can all do it individually. But yeah, let me know how you want to impress Diamond, or get past her, or sort of stand out amongst these other ruffians. What are you gonna do to get work for the day? Karen, I've messed up your nameplate.
no.
Chat has just told me it says
Why?
Karen and Uso Wadred instead of as. So while you do that, I'm going to go ahead and fix that if I can.
Okay. I think Usa, not one to be much of a talker, might just try to slip by
Cool.
and kind of follow somebody else. So she's going to do a very oh man, she's really not good at anything. Awesome. Just like looking at my one dot and all these things.
Yeah, it's exciting.
She's gonna attempt to basically hide behind a bigger guy who just got work and kind of follow him and try to match his stride and more or less use him as a human shield to kind of get past. It's totally worked before. She's definitely done this as a kid in bars, so she can still do it, I'm sure.
I like it. I like it. So there's one little catch, which is that like everybody gets handed a chit when they go to work. It's how they prove that they work that day. So you get handed it, and then like it gets stamped during the day, and then you turn it in for money at night. But like
she'll just steal someone else's chit.
You'll just you're not even worried about getting. You're not even worried about getting a chit. Okay.
No, she'll figure the chit part out. She's doing this in stages. Step 1, get in.
Yeah. I am amazing in my ability to fix one problem and create a different one.
Oh no!
I fixed it, and now it says Karen and Usa Wadred. I'm amazing. There we go. Okay, cool.
Love you so much.
Thank you. It's not for my spelling ability, that's for sure.
No.
So up to this point, like we are already like together as a group that has at least done stuff before.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you, Khan. You are part of the Grey Cloaks. Let's take a little journey over to the map here, viewers, and we'll pull up the thank you, by the way, to Eric Vulgaris for this amazing backdrop. These plots and schemes, they look so good.
That's really nice.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. So the Grey Cloaks, as I've made them, are a tier 1 gang. So you're not quite at the bottom, but you're not as strong as they appear in the books, which is tier 2. They've already got 2 wanted levels, meaning you are the blue coats are actively searching for you.
Mhm.
And you've got some rep for sticking up to them. People like that. Some people like that. Some people don't like that. But and you've got a couple other abilities. One of them is that you're dangerous, which gave you an extra dot. I added it to your characters already. One is that you have silver tongues, and I also gave you that. And the other one is that you are war dogs, meaning you can go to war and not suffer the usual penalties of being at war. You're just good at it. You're good at fighting. And then finally, one that I renamed to Fighting Strange Devils. And that is that you've each been toughened by cruel experience, and you get bonuses on your resistance rolls. So whenever you have to make a resistance roll, you get +1 die to every one of them. So yeah, that's the Grey Cloaks as they stand right now. And so you are all here. You may not be standing together, but you're all certainly part of a crew, part of the Grey Cloaks rather. And the expectation is that above and beyond day labor, this is the opportunity where you're going to hear rumors, you're going to find out about possible scores and all that stuff. As long as you can keep it sealed that you are that you're not as long as nobody knows you're the Grey Cloaks, so that all those blue coats out there don't give you a thumping.
But we should probably have a few people between us, while we're standing in line and stuff, to blend in a little bit better.
Maybe up to you.
I at least have one big guy between me and Diamond.
Yeah.
So
all right. Yeah. So
plan.
Is anyone else going to join USA? Are you going to?
No, there's only room for one.
Okay. All right.
I think Aiz is a few people behind and definitely sees you doing this, right? I think it sounds like USA, if anything, just amuses Aiz a little bit through what she does like that, or at least in her attempt to sneak by. So yeah,
there is a big man in front of you. A big man.
Awesome. Brilliant.
He's a Scovelander. He's got these burly mutton chops. He's a little balding on the top of his head. Even though he's not old, he's just like that. He's balding. You can't tell whether or not he's ripped under his coat or whether he's just big, but the dude's hulking. And Diamond recognizes him, and she's like, Darrett, yeah. And she goes hand him a chit, and everybody kind of knows Darrett. Darrett's a mean customer. You don't mess with him. He's supposed to be connected, but he not only his stature but also his presence takes up a lot of space. So you have this opportunity, I think, to squeeze by.
So Usa kind of just peels out of the line and just kind of falls into step next to him, it's totally normal that she's walking this way. And doesn't really care who on the other side of Diamond sees her. Just employing the idea of, I know what I'm doing and this is what I'm supposed to be doing, so clearly you should let me through, because she's acting like she belongs here, as long as Diamond doesn't see her. So I'm going to roll my 1 dot in Prowl, and this is going to go great.
Sure. Well, I have a devil's bargain for you.
Yes.
Is that you can avoid, you can have an easier time avoiding Diamond's notice if you are willing to chit chat Darrett first. The two D names. What terrible GM thought of doing that? If you're willing to socialize with Darrett a little bit, so it's just oh, you're just with him, then it will seem a lot more casual and cool that you're walking in with him. If you do that thing where you're I'm talking to my friend in this line and I'm just walking through with him because he was already here. So if you don't mind Darrett knowing you're there and ostensibly knowing at least a little bit about you, then you can have that devil's bargain.
Sure, I'll take that. So that gets me an extra die. So I'm going to click Prowl. All right. So what's my position here?
Right now, I'd say it's controlled. You're not trying to do anything too risky. And I think your effect is standard, right? You'll get in, right? You'll get a chit. You'll even be able to snatch a chit out of a pail so you can get paid, or be able to grab a chit from somebody. I won't make you make another sort of roll to get a chit.
All right, so I added 1 bonus die. I'm gonna
Cool.
click submit. I'm gonna roll like super well. I
Roll
critted.
really. Oh,
How did I do? No,
Yeah,
I'm hearing
Negative crit.
noises. Wait,
that's so
how do you
good.
negative crit?
You did. You just
Oh,
just didn't
yeah,
roll
like
so great.
that. Oh,
Okay.
that's okay.
So, but that's the good news. In a controlled situation, when you get a failure roll, you have some opportunities. You can either like you sense like you have this feeling that Diamond is looking at you. You have this feeling that like she is like keener than this. So you can proceed just like do nonchalant, and you could try again with it being risky, or you can back up and attempt a different method, and it'll stay controlled.
No,
You know,
this is a good plan. I'm gonna stick with
you're
it.
just gonna stick with it.
I'm gonna
Okay.
do it again.
All
Can
right.
we
So
help out at all? Or
absolutely. So
would it? Go ahead. Sorry.
no. Tell me how you want to help. We'll roll that in.
Oh, when I sees that, like, I think Usa isn't quite stepping in line, and maybe like Diamond might be getting attention. Who did Diamond just kick out of line? Ugly Al, right?
Ugly
I think
Al.
that Ugly Al is kind of like hobbling by, hunched over, and I's might just give him like a swift kick or something to like knock him down, just to get the attention off the line for a little bit.
Nice. All right.
Does that sound okay for you, Usa?
Yeah.
So go ahead and Ais, on your character sheet, go ahead and mark a stress tick. You take one tick of stress, and you're gonna assist Usa and give her a bonus die. So now Usa, you get a bonus die from Ais. There's no reason for you not to take that same devil's bargain. I mean, I will offer you that devil's bargain again.
Okay.
That in fact, maybe I'm gonna escalate it a little bit. That what do you sort of say to Derek as you're talking with him? Like, what kind of information do you share with him?
I think he's Skillblunder, so she'll come up and say, "So, Skillblunder, heard a lot about you."
Yeah, he's like, "All right, what have you heard?"
Just that you're real. And she's like, "Shit, I didn't think about this at all."
Yeah, he's like, "It's okay,
real
I know.
big.
I'm a lot to take in."
Yeah, that's what I heard, that you're a lot to take in, and that has a very powerful effect on people.
All right. Well, what's your name again? Yeah. All right. Nice to
Yeah.
meet you. Stick by me.
Oh, I will. Absolutely. Thank you. So tell me more about like all of your exploits and the cool things that you've done.
You can say you are sticking with the same method, but I think you may be trying to consort now.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing I still only have one time consort.
The reason I suggested is that you can stay in a controlled position if you switch methods. If you, instead of just saying like I'm gonna sneak in, you're like I'm gonna like chit chat with him, because now you're like hitting him up for stories.
Sure. Okay. I'll switch to controlled. Wait, hang on. I gotta click out of this. So I'm doing consort now. Controlled. Still standard effect.
Still standard effect, and you have 2 bonus dice. One from the Devil's Bargain that you're talking to Derek, and I think he is going to get your name if that's
score.
Nice.
I got a 6.
All right, you just get in.
Yeah.
And
I'm in there.
Yeah, and I think Derek isn't like vouching for you, but nobody really wants to like get in the way of the guy that's talking to you. Get in the way of getting your way, which would also mean getting in his way. And as soon as you get through, he's like bullshitting with you, and then he almost immediately stops and like kind of looks up at the hunter and scowls at it. And he's like, he there's machinations going on in his mind. Yes, Pat Rowdy, I used did spend a stress to do an assist. I didn't show it up on the sheet, but he did. We will believe him. I can pull it out.
I totally did. You really don't have to check.
I really don't have to check. I really have to pull it up. See, there it is. Okay, cool. What about the rest of you two? Do you and more importantly, do you care about getting work for the day? Are you content to be cast out among the rest of the lot, or or do you want to also try and get inside? You could still get onto the docks. You just won't get paid.
You need coin, right?
Yeah,
Like to make your way in the world.
Yeah.
Like we're definitely, Aiz is definitely going to try to make it in.
Oh yes, we're
All right.
broke. We're very
All
broke.
right. Cool.
Oh, yeah.
This is the lowest stakes Blades game ever. Can you get
Yeah,
day
exactly.
labor work?
Gold chain.
For
We'll get
those
there.
yeah, this is not a gold chain.
No, it's not.
For those wondering, this is not typically a thing I would have people roll on. This is just kind of us getting a feel for the game, how Roll20 works, and the mechanics and all that jazz. So we're taking it easy to start with. Cool. So Aiz, what are you going to do to get that coin?
Aiz, I think coming up to the front of the line,
Mhm.
kind of expects that there won't be a problem, right?
Yeah.
Like he clearly comes from a well-respected Eruvian family, and at some point, like, still believes that his word has a lot of worth, and like his family name and stuff like that has worth. Whether it does or not is a good question, but I think he just kind of comes up to Diamond and like sort of goes like, all right, I'm good for it, right? We can just get on with this.
Does Diamond know you? Have you done this? Have you been? What's that?
I think we've day labored before. I don't
Okay.
think this is my first day laboring rodeo.
Yeah. No, that seems your first day laboring rodeo. That seems believable to me. I imagine that most of you have been here before. And what do you think? Is Aiz respected on the? Is he the kind of guy that people? I mean, I think he's the kind of guy that people remember. His look does not look like a doctor. He does not fit in with these flat cap, drab clothing dockers, right? Like he's just his bearing stands out. So I think one way or the other, Diamond would remember you. But what's your last impression that you left?
I think Aiz, I think one of the things that's true about Aiz is from his noble family, he takes his word very seriously.
Mhm.
And so I think that up to this day, he has been very reliable and hasn't started trouble in the docks, and like any work that he was assigned, he diligently did. Not the strongest guy, not the biggest guy, but reliable. And yeah, I think hopefully that's come through. But then again, this like weird looking Eruvian with a pointy mustache might be the actual impression that was left behind.
Yeah, right. No, I like that. Well, let's find out. So it sounds to me like you're trying to sway her. Does that sound like the right action to you?
I think so.
Yeah. And she looks at you and she's like, Aiz. Yeah. Sucks on her tooth for a second.
I'm good for it. We've done this how many times by now?
She why don't you go ahead and roll that
my
sway?
All
I have a
right.
devil's bargain for you, which is that she has a particular job that she'd like you to do. So if you're kind of willing to maybe, it's not a shit job. It's just, it's a job that she doesn't really want to, she needs particular sort of finesse to handle, and she thinks that you might be capable of it. So I'll even be more overt about it. You know that Eruvian that was behind you? It was like shaking down that merchant. She wants that shit settled. She doesn't want this like fight going on in front of her. Like totally. she needs like one Eruvian to tell another Eruvian to shut the fuck up, or do whatever. It's not even like protect the merchant or don't protect the merchant. It's just get this nonsense out of my way. So she kind of like she like eyes up. She looks at you, in your perfect mustache, and she looks up at this woman, this Eruvian woman who's shaking down the sailor, and she kind of like nudges like nods her head in that direction. So if you agree, like, yeah, I'll do that, then this will be a bonus die, and you'll get a devil's bargain.
I will totally take care of that.
Cool.
Mhm.
All right, so sway.
Yeah, go ahead and sway. It's controlled again, and a standard effect, and you get a bonus die for the devil's bargain.
Standard bonus die 1. Oh, that is terrible.
And
Wah, wah.
wah, wah, wah.
What's gonna happen?
Yeah. So it's the same kind of thing where you're like, you start talking to her, and I think she's like, are you just gonna, you're still like talking like, so you know that I'm honorable. She's like, I don't give a shit about your honor. Show me something. And so you can keep at it, or you can kind of go do the thing that she wants you to do, and that'll like take care of it. She's like,
Do the thing.
I am totally going to do the thing.
Do
Right.
the thing.
I am, dear GM, I would like to do the thing, please.
awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
So you're not admitted in, but there's sort of a understanding that if you deal with this merchant problem,
Mhm.
that's good enough, and then you can go and do day labor stuff. So, and Vaughn is still out there with you if you two want to sort of work on it. There's no like, besides getting a chit to go to work, there's not like a lot of like controls. So Usa, if you wanted to come back out,
Mhm.
you're kind of talking to Derek right now, but if you wanted to join them, you could as well. Like there's not really anybody restricting anyone's access, except for that there's just sort of a press of people. There's lots of street urchins running around. And
I'd come back out if it looked bad.
okay,
I'm sure they're fine. Look at his
They're
mustache. He'll be fine.
look at that
Yes.
mustache.
So
Look at
far,
that
everything's
guy.
fine. Yeah. So I think Aiz at this point, he's just going to go and try to do the thing, right? At this point. So he just kind of is like, fine. And he breaks out of line and tries to distance himself a little bit from the line, so it doesn't look like he's coming directly from the day laborer line when going to this like review and doing the shakedown.
Okay.
And just just tries to yells like, the Aravian equivalent of like, you rapscallion, like, what are you doing? Like, what?
Nice.
who are you picking on? Like, you have no authority here. Get the fuck out, kind of thing.
So you're chewing out the Arabian.
Yeah, totally.
I like it.
And while like not drawing anything, but like making motions to like, yeah, I have something like under my coat, and like I clearly use it, right? Yeah, he wants to just take care of this, right? Like,
All right.
let's just get this done.
Okay.
So
So a couple
Gentleman about
things.
this.
I like this. It sounds like you're commanding. That's what it sounds like. What it sounds like to me. Does that sound accurate to you?
yes, I think that's accurate.
Cool. I didn't have the dice up. Sorry, chat. We can see now that I need to scroll down. I'll figure this thing out. There we go. Think Brylots. All right. So I think you're commanding. Does that sound right to you?
Yep, I think so.
And this woman, Zora is clearly determined in her mission to shake this guy down. It's a risky situation. She may very well expect you to be able to produce whatever is under your jacket, under your coat. This could come to blows or threats or something else. But I think if you're willing to like show her like, I'm gonna fight you, then this would be enough to deter her. So I think it's the standard effect. You can do a couple things to increase your odds here. Anybody can offer you a devil's bargain. It doesn't have to be me. You can propose one. Anyone else can propose one as well. Also, you can push yourself. You can't do both for bonus dice, but you can do either or. You can spend 2 stress to push yourself and either get increased effect, so you'd have great effect, like you'd really scare her off, or you get a bonus die. And then somebody can assist you. So if Vaughn wants to spend a stress to give you an assist, you can get a bonus die out too. So you get up to a total of 2 bonus dice if you want through either Devil's Bargain or pushing, and then also the assist. Do you want to entertain any of those?
I do.
Okay.
And could you remind me, is the success a 6 or a 5 and a 6?
A 4 or 5 is a success with a complication, and a 6 is a success. So
Okay.
you know, even with 1 die, you got a 50-50 chance of succeeding.
It'll be fine. Yeah. So I think that I definitely would like to try to improve this a little bit.
Okay.
I think, what would my bargain be at this point?
I like you guys. I know I give a similar bargain to USA, but I like you guys sort of getting entrenched in the politics and dealing with people. So I think if you call on your family name, because you're a noble Aruvian and she knows that name. Like, no Aruvians don't know Ansarek. Yeah.
Why do we have this guy in our gang? Everyone knows his name.
Yeah. I mean, you're from like one of like the 4 demon princes of Udwasha.
Mhm.
You're one of the ruling families.
Who let this guy in?
So if you're like, you call your name, you're like, I am an Ansarek, and you will listen to me.
Oh, that seems like a terrible idea.
Again.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I don't. It does. I think I might push myself to try to avoid doing that, because that sounds like it's going to go really badly.
I mean, only some badly.
Well, I mean, we are still hiding from the blue coats, right?
Yeah. She's definitely not a blue coat, but you know,
yeah.
Word gets around pretty quick.
All right, I'm going to push myself, I think.
Okay.
And I think that the way that manifests is just like how clearly ready IEs is to actually like come to blows, right?
Nice.
Like we are, like he's grabbing at his sword on the other side of his cloak, like he's looking her dead in the eye, just telling her like back the fuck down.
JPEG TV pointed out that you've probably, as a former blue coat, has dealt with shakedowns before. Like you've been the one doing the shakedown. So I think there's also like, this is an extortion racket going on, and like you're familiar with that as well.
The Aruvian is this the Aruvian a blue coat?
No, she is.
Okay.
She's definitely not. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
She's definitely not a blue coat. In fact, if you want to try and glean any information about her, you could certainly study her if you wanted to. But at the moment, she's not wearing a blue coat. She's not behaving like a blue coat.
Mm-hmm.
She's
just shaking down.
Shaking like I do down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So so go ahead and spend 2 stress, and you can push yourself from bonus side. Vaughn, do you want to assist? Do you want to help out at all here? Are you gonna watch?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I think Vond is a couple places behind in line and sees this little melee going down, and also instinctively kind of grabs for the sharp thing in my pocket, and I think I'm still in line because I mean I gotta keep my spot in line, but I'm willing to step out. So,
like you look ready. Like maybe I will.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
I'm giving you the eye. I like at least have one eye on you. So.
Nice.
So there's backup. Then she can see that there's backup.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. So you can handle this one of 2 ways. You can make this a group action, and you can roll your command as well, which I don't know if you have any command bond, or you can spend a stress and give use a bonus die. The advantage of making it a group action is that if it works, you'll both get in. Like you're both in on this thing now. Like you kind of, you're. The disadvantage is if it fails, then you're both in on this thing now.
So my option, I don't have an extra die for command. So then my only option to help is to take a stress. Is that right?
No, you can still roll command, but what happens is when you have no dots in it, you roll 2d6 and you take the lower of the rolls.
You don't want to do that. Don't. It's a bad plan. Bad plan.
It's a bad plan.
It may be a bad plan.
All right.
It may not be a
I've
good
been
idea.
advised it's a bad plan, so I'm going to take a stress.
Cool.
I have
All
marked
right.
it.
Cool. So
If
easy.
anyone is worried.
Go ahead and
All right,
I don't have your sheet up yet. Go ahead and roll with 2 bonus dice. It's risky. It's standard effect,
Mm-hmm.
and let's see if you can Roll that roll. Nice.
5. Okay.
5 is good. So you succeed with the consequence. She turns her attention off of this merchant, and he's like, the moment she does, he beelines out of there. He's like, he's like, sweet, you have solved the
Puff of
problem.
dust.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right. He's just like moving, and he like pulls his little cart like with him. You know, he's going, and she like turns her attention to you, and she points at you, and she's just like, she points at you and says, "Who in the hell?" She like pokes you in the chest. Do you think you are messing with the red sashes? I'm gonna cut your damn head off. So she doesn't know who you are, but you have earned the ire of the red sashes, or of this red sash, right?
Mhm.
She is speaking as though she's speaking for everyone, but like this is and you can like respond to that, but you also have the ability to like in this game say, nope, I don't think so, and you can resist this consequence by also darting off quickly, by I think it's by like seeing seeing that there's trouble brewing ahead, and sort of slipping away before she has time to really fall into you. Or you can just accept that you've angered Zora and deal with the fact you have an angry red coat, or not,
I think
red sash.
I'll take the angry red sash.
Okay, cool.
So like what did she say? Next time she saw me,
She's gonna cut your head off.
she's
Yeah,
gonna cut my head off.
yeah, right. And she like looks down at her side, and you know you can see there's a sword there.
We'll just see who cuts whose head off first next time, then, right?
She's like, "Are you challenging me?" And she means it like, you know, you're in Rivian. She means like, "Are you challenging me to a duel? Like, are we gonna now set a time to fight?"
Has my honor been impinged on at this point?
Are you asking me as a GM, or are you asking her as a character?
Probably as the GM. Like has the
No, you're just talking shit to each other right now.
Okay, no, we're not going to set a date. So yeah, he also is grabbing there and is like, I don't think it's necessary. I think one day our blades will find each other one way or another. No need to make it formal.
She says, "You ever step in crow's foot, and that day will come sooner than you think." And she kind of like, she looks at you up and down. She's not going to get anything out of you. Like, you don't have any money. She can't shake you down. So she's like, you know, just let eyes on you. But when you turn around, like Diamond is like, just gives you the thumb, you know, jerks her thumb, like, do it. Yeah, you're good.
Right, give me the chit.
Yeah. She drops the chit in your hand, and you go to work. And Zora doesn't like leave. She's like, you know, she's like fades into the crowd, and she's gonna try and find another merchant. But for the moment, you've diffused the situation.
For the low price of 2 stress and the ire of the red sashes, I now have day labor.
I have day labor. Right?
Sweet coin.
Maybe she'll remember you. Maybe she won't. In this game, we do have all the other gangs, all the other factions. You do have status with them, and you could have positive or negative status with the red sashes. This didn't affect that. You have no status with them at the moment. Zora's personal anger to you is not like representative of her faction. It's not like you're now enemies with the red sashes. She was just saying like, I got lots of friends with swords and we can mess you up. But as it stands, she's not actually gonna like go back to her boss and say, we need to mess with these guys. She doesn't know who you are, so you're fine. Just hope you don't run into her again. All right, so that leaves Avond out there, and the line's been moving, and it's been kind of hit or miss. Some people are like, you know, yep, and like right as you're about to get there, that's when Diamond goes, all right, that's it. You know, or she's like about to be like, we're full, and you kind of have this moment where you're in the in-between space? What do you do?
Yeah, I think that like Vaughn is of the docks. So Vaughn has been a dock worker here before and definitely knows Diamond. And so I think that Vaughn kind of sidles up to Diamond and like tries to go for a sweet smile, but it ends up coming up much more oily rather than sweet, and is basically like, hey, forgetting someone, you know how this goes. Like just expecting that like it's not a day if it isn't, if Vaughn isn't employed. So I think
Yeah.
hoping a little sweet oil talk is gonna win Diamond's ear.
Nice. Do you have a good relationship with Diamond? We kind of seemed like Aiz was, Aiz is memorable, but maybe not in the best of ways always. Like maybe he's always of his word, but that maybe makes him more of a pain in the ass than anything else. But I think maybe she might think differently of Vaughn. Or
Yeah, I think that there's a long relationship in that like so it's mixed as it would happen in any long relationship, but like I've been employed many times here before, and I think Vaughn would almost come to expect it, but in a way that feels more authentic than I use, just expecting that
yeah,
when it comes to his mustache, it's like, no, I'm here of these docs, and like, what I can do, and
cool.
I should be working today.
Cool. I will offer you a devil's bargain as well then, which is I'm going to start a clock, and the clock is it's got 4 ticks on it, and I'm going to put 1 tick on the clock, and the tick is one of the dockers. And if I fill that up, then the dockers are going to assume you are part of them and loyal to them, and like want to recruit you or pays you or do whatever they do. You remember how in the very beginning where you saw like the unionized dockers who just like got to go to work? Like
Yeah.
You'll get to that like evaluation period where they decide whether or not you're going to be part of the crew, part of the dockers, or whether or not they don't have anything to do with you. So it's going to lead to a crucible. It won't necessarily get you in. It won't necessarily get you kicked out. It's just going to lead to a decision point where they make a decision about this Vaughn guy who's been hanging around so much and doing this side work. Do we trust him? Do we not? So
Cool.
If you accept that devil's bargain, then I will put a tick on that clock and you get an extra die. Do you want it?
Accept. I want it.
Okay.
Give me the clock.
Give me the
Is
clock.
Bond a docker, a true docker? All right. So it sounds like you're rolling consort. You're just kind of gabbing with her.
Yeah.
You could also say sway.
I think I'll roll consort.
I think you should roll
one die extra there.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is my position?
It's controlled. Yeah. You've got a good relationship with her.
And the effect of this.
I think it's standard.
Cool. And 1 bonus die, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Man, we are.
We all rolled 2 1s on or 2 and a 1.
Oh boy.
So she goes, all right, so a couple things are going to happen. Well, it's a controlled roll. So you can decide to push it. And like, she's like, at this point, she says, nah, Vaughn, we're fill up. Like, I got my allocation for the day, got all the people I need. You can decide to push it and try again, the exact same circumstances, but it's risky instead of controlled, meaning maybe she's going to have somebody push you out, or maybe she's going to, maybe she's going to take special notice of you, or you can try a different method. You can try like sneak in, like after she's turned her attention somewhere. But if you want to keep pressing it, you can just try it again. You can have the same devil's bargain. I can put another tick on this clock where you're like, hey, I'm one of you, and see how that works.
Yeah.
What do you say?
I think I want to double down on the ticks and say, you know what, like, come on, I am like, smell the salt in this coat, right? I am here. Like, you call like these chumps workers on the dock, like let in this man with the mustache. I wouldn't say that.
Nice. Nice. Sell out your own crew for day labor. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead and roll. Yeah. I marked a second tick, so you can have another bonus. You can have that bonus die again. It's now risky. Okay. And she looks at you and she's like, all right. She kind of looks over at this factory warehouse where it's where goods are sort of stored, so goods come off in bulk from the big ships, and then they get like parceled out and distributed amongst lots of gondolas and carriages and other sort of means of transport. And so there's all these factory warehouses, and a lot of times they have to like stay overnight because it's not like they can immediately pull them apart. And so there's a lot of security on the docks, because what crook in the right mind wouldn't think, oh, I'll go in with my gondola and steal a bunch of stuff from an unsuspecting factory. So there tends to be like a fair amount of security, but she kind of like eyeballs this one that has like a lot of, maybe like a half dozen blue coats just kind of hanging around, idling out there. Needles over there, like cracking someone's skull and barking orders at somebody. And she kind of like eyeballs this one, like, okay. So now the risk is like, she might send you for like really bad work, but let's see what happens.
Cool. Okay, I will run consort and risky. Standard effect?
Yeah. Nice. Woo!
Okay.
Awesome.
Second charm.
So she looks at that pretty fortified warehouse, and then she just smiles at you, and you see she's got this gold tooth, and she's like, I like you, kid. And she instead of just like dropping a shit like she did Friday East, like she just dropped, because she's up on this like crate, she's high up, so she can like point at people and bark orders and whatnot. She like leans down and she like puts it in your hand, like she presses it into your hand, right? And she's like, you take care of yourself, Fond, and you watch out for the boys in blue over there. They're in a rowdy mood today. And and so instead of sending you to the dangerous crap job, she kind of alerts you to something going on that's like a little different than usual. There's a little bit more blue coat activity on that warehouse than usual. And she's just saying, why don't you stay away from it? But it may or may not catch Fawn's eyes.
Bless you, Diamond. It's a real good of you. It's a good day. I feel like I give her the hey girl kind of
attitude. She kind of wants to keep it between you. Like she has to keep this really tough demeanor. So like she's like gives you like a wink, and then she's like, now get out of my face, get to work, right? So it's like that, like I gotta pretend like I'm really hard on everybody, even if I'm not always really hard on everybody.
Yeah.
So
and then I just scoot.
Yeah, right. So you've all made it in, and you're all lingering. I think this is a good time to take a 5 break and then come back. Does that sound good? All right. Thanks chat for staying with us, and we'll be back in 5.